Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Outer World Podcast, Episode 3. Today, we're here with Kirk Allen from Warrior. How are you?
Good, guys. Thanks for having me.
We're also here with our host, Jason.
What's going on, guys? Kirk, good to see you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, just for the people who don't know you or are unfamiliar with you from Warrior, kind of what do you do for Warrior? What's your history? And then what do you do now?
So currently, I am the product manager of the goalie equipment and sticks and now masks at Warrior Goalie. I started with Warrior about 7 years ago, and I've been a product manager for 4.5. When I started, I was in college. I was kind of doing like a tech rep position, internship, and just trying to get my foot in the door, and became friends and coworkers with obviously the goalie guys,
Yep.
and was lucky enough to become part of their crew. And it's been no looking back ever since.
Yeah, awesome. As long as I've known Warrior from a standpoint of knowing who's behind the brand, you've been there the entire time.
Yeah, the pad line that I first joined Warrior with was the G2.
Okay.
So there was the Ritual 1 before that when Pete came on board, and it's been a fun ride with G3s and GTs, and now we're on to G5s.
When you were growing up, did you think this is what you wanted to do? Work with goalie pads and stuff?
So I was definitely a rink rat, a full-time hockey player. Growing up from mini sticks to video games to playing, and then got into coaching. I played in the ACHA, and like I said, in college, I kind of realized from the ACHA it's pretty difficult to go the pro route.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to make a career out of the sport of hockey, specifically out of goaltending, it was going to be through a different avenue. Like many goalies, I have a strong passion for the equipment. I feel like it has a direct correlation to your performance. And then, of course, there's a lot of benefits to how you look. So I just kind of transferred that love for the position and coaching and playing and into the product. And now I'm into sales, marketing, you name it. So.
Yeah. What's been some of the most exciting moments coming up with Warrior, trying to grow this brand? What has been one of the most exciting pads that you've worked on and been able to see the development of?
I think each year when we come out with something new, I'm always excited because I know how much time and effort goes in on the back end from our product guys on what they do to deliver performance and innovation through the product. It's always exciting to see that new iteration come out and kind of release it to goalies who are wearing our product now in a current model, and just knowing what's coming of like, hey, it's that good, but it's about to be that much better, and I can't wait to share that. So I'm always excited around launch and seeing the new stuff hit the shores.
Yeah. So you have a lot of exciting things coming up this year.
We do.
And then, so kind of kicking that off, is there anything when you're developing this next year of gear, what were the focuses on all the new lines? And was there any specific main point that you wanted to drive home with this entire year?
I think it depends on the product. For G5, one of our big things that we're doing for G5 is the Coverage Plus story. So that's all about understanding that in goaltending, from a positional aspect, 30 years ago, it was, get out of your crease, cut the angle down, challenge the shooter. And that's still relevant today, but a more modern way that goalie coaches and goalies are looking through things is through box control and, filling the net through, different vision lines of where the puck's trajectory is coming from. And we started to see the relevance and how much your equipment plays a factor in that as well. It's not just your depth in the blue paint. It's also, is your equipment maximizing your coverage? And I think a lot of goalies assume that because a pad is 11 inches wide with a tape measure that it's maximum coverage, when that's not the same application to coverage that you're applying with your positioning. So it's really thinking not anything new or innovative per se about like we're not the first people to ever think about cutting down an angle, but we just started to look at our products in G4 and what we've released before and how we can further advance the coverage of the product through bringing the face of it forward towards the puck. So Coverage Plus is definitely one of our most exciting new things. It's changed quite a bit with the trapper and the blocker as well.
Yeah.
But mainly what a lot of people will notice is the outer roll and the leg pad.
Yeah, that was one of the first things I noticed. It's not a huge change, but it's noticeable from line to line.
Yep.
But it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the leg pad specifically, we've kind of been on this long quest of testing different things with the outer roll. If you look on our Instagram page, when we were launching the G4, we showed prototypes of leg pads that had no outer roll or outer roll at the top half and then completely cut off of the shin and the boot. And when we first started on that quest, it was more about trying to get a tighter seal to the post with wraparounds or RVH. And in doing so, we found in those testing pads that the outer roll still served a purpose from preventing pucks from skipping over the pad in in tight plays or hard shots from the back door. So we kind of set the height of that G4 outer roll to get you tighter to the post, but still have a little bit of stopping power there to prevent pucks from skipping over. And once the G4 came out, we didn't just stop. We kept continuing to test new outer roll elements, and that kind of took us into Coverage Plus, where we brought the outer roll further out, but then in turn also brought the face of the pad out so that there's still a reduced gap between the outer roll and the face so that no pucks are going to squeak through in tight wraparound plays. Yeah,
so for the average goaltender or someone like Jason who doesn't quite know, is this kind of a hard concept to bring to people? Or is there a way that you can kind of word it that brings people to like an understanding of what you're trying to get at?
Yeah, no, it's a very simple concept with geometry really, and thinking from the puck's perspective.
Yeah.
The same application of coverage that you apply to your depth in the net is also what we're now doing with the product that you put on your body. So before, I think goalies just thought of their depth as the main point of coverage, and then when it came to the pads and gloves, it was just about tape measurers.
Yeah.
So we're just thinking about the same philosophy of cutting down angles with the product. And obviously the same tape measure rules apply as well. So Coverage Plus is not illegal. It's still NHL spec because via a caliper measurement that the NHL would use is still the same regulated sizing of any other product. We just thought more logically about how could we bring the face of this gear forward towards the puck.
Was the NHL specification something that you guys kind of tailored the pad around for kind of like regulating it toward the pad?
No, I mean, we want to make our product NHL spec because it also applies to double IHF in a lot of ways, and we have a lot of elite European goalies who play in international tournaments and stuff. So, we weren't setting out on a quest to make a non-legal pad, always making things within legal sizing.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, you kind of alluded to really both sides. How much of it is when you're testing a pad out, like putting it on ice, asking the goalie that's wearing it what they think versus going in the back end and looking at the geometry and everything? Like, is it a pretty 50-50 split, or is it like we really want to know what the goalie's using it think versus what maybe the math says or what the design would look like?
It evolves based on the product and where we're at in the development process. I think we are a really tight-knit group, and we are very analytical of our products and what we have now and what goalies are saying online. I think me specifically, I live in a lot of Facebook groups and chat forums and Instagram pages, and I'm every day, all day, looking at what people are saying and responding to them if I feel like they need further explanation on something, or just taking that feedback in about something that they notice with the pad. If they wear it a specific way and it causes the pad to do this, we take that info in and try to apply it to a future product. So it starts there and listening to the consumer, and then I kind of filter that in with the product guys, and we talk about it, how we feel, and do we think that that's maybe just an isolated case, or is it something that would benefit a lot of goalies? Ultimately, if it's not going to benefit a goalie, we're probably not going to put it into the pad. So it kind of comes into a benefit of performance trade-off versus is this just I'd like it, but it doesn't make an effect on the performance. So and then we go on ice with samples and start to test the product ourselves. We're all goalies at Warrior Goalie, so we start there and then use some field testers as well and get some feedback there. Reach out to retailers and say, this is what we're working on. This is our philosophy behind it. Do you think that there's momentum there? And kind of pool it all together, and it's kind of a revolving wheel of development.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that kind of ties into a question I did have. When you are testing the pad on ice and during the development phases where it doesn't really have a name, it doesn't really have a look to it yet, kind of how did that all go for a pad with this kind of changes to it?
Just like any other, we had several different rounds of leg pads specifically of trying different things to achieve the coverage plus and how we wanted it to look and to perform. So, I would say. Yeah,
that works. Yeah. So going into the leg pads specifically, since we've already kind of talked about the outer roll design, wanted to ask a couple of different questions about the new strapping, the little bit of changes to that, and then also to the outer gusset.
Yep. So a couple of things that goalies will notice on the G5 pad, we made a pretty nice change to the leg channel. So what we've had on our pads for a while now is a 360 active drop leg channel, which is basically a leg channel that wraps around your leg completely. So it's not a leg channel where you'd want to choose a tight or a wide. The benefit of a tight leg channel is that you get the connectivity of it, but you do sacrifice mobility. With a wide leg channel, you get mobility, but you sacrifice connectivity. So we kind of looked at things a little bit different. Instead of having flat sidewalls with a flat piece against your shin, we sort of made this cylinder around your leg. So you get full feeling with the spaciousness of a wider leg channel.
Okay.
So that's the 360 active drop leg channel. And what we did this year is we added a dual fit option. So the calf wrap can now slide through the leg channel.
Yeah, we can show that.
Yeah. So the calf wrap in this pad, you can see, is going through the leg channel. So that way, for a goalie who does want a more snug fit, they can tighten it by bringing it through here. If they didn't want that, they could just simply slide this strap out and bring it around the outside to have more space for their leg. And just like on previous models as well, there are two straps inside here that allow you to make it tighter or looser there as well.
Okay.
So that's the new dual fit option. What I think a lot of goalies will like about it is you see it's pretty common for goalies to say, I want the pad to sit higher up on my leg. I want it to sit up on my skate. Bringing it through that opening definitely helps with that and getting the pad to sit up a little bit more. So whether you're looking for a tighter fit or you're just wanting to kind of prop the pad in a different way, that's a nice feature that'll allow you to do that. So
yeah, from my personal experience so far, what I've found is I like the tighter feel on my leg just because I like that. And I know other goalies who really like a loose fit, and I feel like you can achieve that with this pad in both ways very quickly.
Right. And then on the knee strap, we have our sling wrap, which is a neoprene strap and a nylon strap. This is an option that you've always had on a Warrior pad where you can take it around your knee or down to your calf. And if some goalies prefer it, they can take the nylon strap out and just use the neoprene. They are independent straps, so that's a nice feature there. One thing to definitely note on the G5, the ARS toe strap, active response elastic toe, is lengthened. So you're going to get a lot more play off the toe strap when the pads are brand new.
Yeah.
Currently, we offer XL straps as an accessory kit for any of our other pads. Now on this pad, it's going to be even a little bit longer than that XL strap. So immediate free range of motion alleviates a lot of the hip and knee and ankle strain that you might find.
So I'm curious, when you're designing pads, I mean, obviously there's so many different ways that people play goalie in different fits and how they like different things. Yeah. Is it tough to try to make a pad that sort of fits everyone, or is it more like you guys are focusing on, the one aspect or the few aspects that you want to perfect versus making something that everyone can use?
It's definitely always on our mind to make things optional. And that kind of stems from a couple of years ago. We used to only have one pad line, and that was the G3. So we learned with those launches of G2 and G3. How do we make a pad that caters to everybody? Not necessarily saying this is the pad, you have to use it, hope you like it. There was all these built-in options. So whether you use the ARS toe strap, or use a skate lace, or you use an aftermarket toe strap, or you want a leather heel strap, or you want to change the angle of it, everything is designed to be optional, really. And like I was saying, on the calf wrap now, you have 2 options to take it either around the leg channel or through the leg channel. Beneath that, you still have the options for more tension. On the knee strap, you have a lot as well, from not only from knee to calf, but you can make the nylon strap tighter or looser, take it off completely. Trying to think of everybody and making it so that if you want to change something on this product, you don't have to break out a pair of scissors and be afraid, that you're going to have to go ask somebody, hey, can you sew this back up for me? I goofed up. So that's kind of how we try to encompass a pad that would cater to all goalies.
You have the Chris Dudos of the world in mind that go out and constantly you're messing with.
Unfortunately, he's on my mind too much sometimes, but yeah.
Yeah, and then also one more thing on the pad is the air slide.
Yeah.
From my first use, I noticed it was clean.
Yeah.
I remember first slide I took, I was like, this is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I want something that's easy, and I want to, if I'm over sliding, then I just need to adjust my game.
Yep.
Some people think otherwise, they're like over sliding in some pads, but I think this one, it feels just right.
Yep.
And then you also made a couple changes to the air slide this year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So the air slide was something we launched on the G4 pad. Slidability is a very strong talking point for goalies. And the truth of the matter is every pad on the market slides extremely well today, especially on clean ice. And what we wanted to do is not just come out with a new material and say it slides faster than our other pad or this and that. What we wanted to do is start to make a sliding benefit for the goalie that is more consistent throughout the changing ice conditions. So what a lot of goalies will notice is your pads will slide great in warm-ups or the start of a practice.
Yeah.
But at the end of 90 minutes or the end of a game, especially if you don't get a Zamboni, is the ice is in really, really bad shape. Your pads are not sliding as well as they did in the beginning. And we found through air slide that we were able to create a more consistent slide, even though the ice conditions were changing. So we did make some changes to the air slide for G5 compared to G4, most notable being that the binding around it is gone. But we also put some harder foams inside that area of the pad as well. Okay. So there's a little bit less compression when you're driving your knee down to the ice and driving your force of your pad down into the ice in a rotation or slide. So it works a lot better. It's a lot smoother, like you said. And I think it's just a little bit more optimized for what we're trying to achieve. So great slidability, not only in the beginning, but throughout the course of a game as well. As a goalie, your money is made in the final minute. It's when the game's on the line. It's when you're most tired in a practice. It's when you need your energy the most. So it's all about trying to conserve that energy for when you need it and when your teammates are going to rely on you.
Yeah, that's something that is actually occurring to me because I was on the ice for, I think, like an hour and 20 this morning, pretty nonstop, and I didn't have a sliding issue near the end, so I guess that explains it.
That's the goal, yeah.
Yeah. And so moving on to the other pieces, I guess we'll start off with the glove.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the G5 Trapper, we have our removable palm feature. That's something that we've offered since G2. We made some changes to G3 and then G4. Now on the G5, in the palm areas where you're going to see most of the Coverage Plus story. So for this glove, we added some materials inside this sort of where the heel of your thumb would be to keep the glove at a more forward position. So you don't want your glove to be perpendicular with the ice because the puck is lower. So you're sacrificing aerial coverage if your glove is perpendicular. That's why you see a lot of goalies who will move their entire hand forward to present it, squarely to the puck. Yeah. So what we've done with the Coverage Plus and the Trapper is just to kind of get that to be an auto setting. So I don't have to bend my wrist now or contort it in a goofy way to get that aerial coverage. I can hold my hand in a natural way and get that forward lean out of my trapper. So the benefit is obviously aerial coverage, but it's also going to give you more control. If I have to bend my wrist an awkward way to get the coverage I want, now I'm giving up some of that control, that rebound, being able to catch a puck clean. Now I can just allow it to rest and then just focus on catching.
I found that when making down low saves toward like reaching for a puck in the crease, I found that was a lot more effective because when it does hit the glove, it either gets into the pocket or toward you instead of bouncing down at the ice for another chance. It kind of corrals the puck more toward you and up at your hand instead, just from naturally reaching out in a bind, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely going to just get a couple more saves out of it. You're going to get a piece of more pucks, especially in those reaching saves, those backdoor scramble saves. And even if you are a goalie who feels comfortable leaning your hand forward slightly, or that's what you've always done, you can still do that, and the coverage plus in the trapper is only still going to further help that.
Yeah.
So it's not like, I put my hand that way, now I don't need it. The coverage plus is still just going to further benefit you from a coverage standpoint.
Yeah.
So
it definitely helps those in tight situations where that inch is the difference.
Yep.
The other thing I would say about the Trapper as well, a very cool feature with the Warrior gloves, is the T construction. So we have what we call AxiFlex T, where the T will go into the finger portion and then the thumb, and it sort of hinges like inside of a tent almost. And what that does is it allows us to have a secure connection into those two parts, but it's still going to flex as if it had a break there. So the benefit is that it's going to have more stopping power. If you have breaks in the T is more likely to collapse, especially over time.
Yeah.
It's also more prone to getting the reverse kind of U shape, especially for goalies who press down on their pad quite regularly. So you're going to get a lot more stopping power. And if you look closely, you'll always see too on our Trappers that the T is always funneling inward. It's not facing completely square to it where you're going to catch a puck like this. It's very, very likely that you see a used Warrior glove and there's a ton of puck marks on the inner part of the T and barely any on the outer. And that's a really good story to tell, is that most of the pucks that hit your T are going into the pocket, not hitting the outside of it.
Yeah, it's not having that risky play where it hits the top of the T and goes over the net by a couple inches. It's actually getting inside and maybe just like sitting in front of you, or it's being a full catch.
Yep.
And then next we're going to move on to the blocker.
So for the G5 blocker, the most notable change or most noticeable change that goalies will see is the blocker board shape. We added some thickness to the board, and we brought the face of it forward for coverage plus elements to it. In doing so as well, we took some of the curve out of the board, and that was also part of trying to maximize the coverage, elongate the blocker, get more reach on the bottom portion of it. And the inside, just like on the Trapper, we did some things with the palm that will make this blocker maximize your coverage a little bit more. So on our previous blockers, the backhand foam in the palm would be almost like a channel that would start at your wrist and go down to your knuckles. Now on this blocker, it tapers down to the knuckle. So what that does is it makes the nose of the board, the bottom part of it, sit more nose down or face down, so that I'm presenting more of the face of this to the shooter or to the puck. If you have the foam piece from our previous blockers, the blocker tends to be a little bit more nose up. So now that coverage is kind of flattening out. And again, from a perspective of a puck, we want it to be more like this. So I'm presenting more of this full face to the puck. So like on the previous models for Pro, I didn't mention this on the pad or the Trapper or the blocker as well, but they all have hypercomp. On the blocker specifically, it's the entire face and the entire sidewall. It's a composite plastic material that we've used for a number of years now to add rigidity to a product or add stopping power or quicken rebounds. And for a blocker specifically, we get better board life out of it. So those main changes with the board and then the palm itself to get the blocker to be a little bit more nose down. You're going to see better rebound control from that too. You're going to have less pucks that maybe hit your blocker and pop up. They're going to be more blocker saves that hit your blocker and deflect
to the corner, maybe hitting the glass, not up into the rafters.
I found that it was very easy to choose where I wanted to put it. Which was right into the corner. Yeah. I found that it kind of aided in that.
Yeah.
But also one thing that I wanted to touch on was the customizability of all these pieces, especially the blocker.
Yeah.
The blocker was probably the only one I actually had to like touch around with just to get my feel.
Yeah.
Is because I like a loose wrist. I like to have it kind of high on my arm a little bit. So I wanted you to touch on the customizability of it and kind of give me some knowledge as to things that you found yourself.
So the really cool thing with our blockers, all of our blockers, GT and G4 and G5 in particular, and then on the trapper side, it would be a G3, G4, G5. The GT trappers are conventional, permanently fixed liners.
Yeah.
So those aren't removable, but is that you can get any product from a store. It doesn't have to be custom, and then you ordered custom at a custom price point. You can get it and then customize it yourself. So for you, for example, you just took the existing palm and moved it up and down to change the wrist control, to maybe some goalies would do it to change the balance of the board. Some goalies would move their hand position to get more reach for a low blocker save. And some goalies will take those palms out completely and put a smaller size in because they want to have a tighter fit. You can put an intermediate blocker palm on a senior size blocker without having to custom order it at a more expensive price and waiting 6 to 8 weeks to get it. You can leave the store that day with a blocker palm that fits you. And the same applies for the trapper. We have the different finger positions, the 60, 75, and 90. And then likewise, you can put an intermediate trapper liner in there as well on a senior size glove to get a more control, a tighter fit.
I just wanted to touch on kind of what I have done with the blocker so far.
Sure.
So, like you said, I did move it up. I moved it up to the that's the low setting, correct?
Yeah,
up
the
here.
board lower, hand higher, but yeah. Yep.
So I moved it up, and then I moved this strap to one of the four attachment spots. I moved it to the lower one because I wanted it to sit pretty low. And then also with the thumb, I ended up taking this, removing that, and then opening it up so I could bring my thumb down farther than usual.
Yep.
Because when it came, I found that when I was holding my stick, like I wanted more freedom in it.
Okay.
And I was gonna sacrifice like maybe taking a puck there for that.
Uh-huh.
And I like how you can remove that extra piece. I left it there.
Yep.
Just because I don't want to risk too much.
Yep.
But I moved it up slightly on the Velcro, and then I moved the thumb position down on the Velcro just so I could have my hand naturally just open like this. So I'm closing it instead of it already being right there.
Yeah, that's a really good point that you can move the palm completely and then not move anything else, or you can leave the palm and it's mid setting, it's a stock setting, but maybe move the thumb up if you feel like you want to have a deeper thumb on your stick. The index finger piece that's on the pro blockers is removable. This is something that a lot of goalies will say when they get a new blocker, they're like, this is so annoying, it's bumping
I just
up
moved
against
it
my
slightly
stick.
up. Yeah.
And then once they break in the blocker, the piece completely hides behind the sidewall and doesn't stick out anymore. So it's like it's either impeding on your stick or it's not doing anything. With this, it's Velcroed in, so you can move it to wherever you want it to be. You can slide it more up, down, have it protrude out further, or if you want it to just kind of be there for mental, comfort, you can tuck it behind the sidewall. It's not something that's comes standard and you got to live with it. It's, again, something that you can remove or adjust. So.
Yeah, that was something I just loved about it.
Yeah.
Would you say that ability to kind of customize the stock pieces a little bit more is a pretty big selling point for someone, especially like a goalie that has been wearing the same pads for, however many, a decade, say, I would imagine that customization is kind of something you really want to say if you're trying to get someone to turn into a warrior pad.
Exactly. So, you're not a goalie right now. So let me pose this question to you. Would you want a high, mid, or a low blocker setting on your blocker?
Yeah, see, I wouldn't even begin to know.
You wouldn't know. You would go with whatever's available. And then even if you were to okay, I got this certain blocker and now I want to customize it down the road. And the option is there to get a high, mid, or a low. You still don't know because you've only used one of the three. With any of the warrior blockers, you can get it, you can move it, try it for a few practices, change it back if you didn't like it, keep it, leave it, whatever you want to do. It opens up like all the customization without having to pay for it and wait for it and guess. Like, it would be terrifying if I said, like, hey, you should get a high blocker setting on your blocker and pay all this money for it, wait for it, and then it shows up and you're like, I've never used it, and now I am, and I don't like it. Too bad you can't change it. So on the Warrior blockers you can, though. So that's a kind of a cool thing. It allows goalies to explore it, to try things without having to pay a premium to do that. So
yeah, I found asking him that question is kind of a good example of if you're gonna get a pad to kind of explore with, I think the Warrior would be a good choice.
Yeah,
since you can mess around, especially with like the leg pads. Do you want a tight fit or do you want a loose fit? It'll take 5 minutes to change. Yeah. You can do that in the middle of a stick and puck if you really wanted to.
Right, exactly.
It's all Velcro. It's like all snap, snap, snap. You're done. There's no extra tools really.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, the blocker palm and the trapper palm, probably not something you'd want to do 5 minutes before you get on the ice. But once you've done it a few times, it is pretty quick. Do it in a couple of minutes. And it's the main thing is making sure that you just line the Velcros up properly. And then you'll get a consistent fit and feel for what you're going for.
Yeah. And then for the high setting that I did, or the low setting, I found that I really liked that because I could get my hand faster to the ice if I was going to reach down, because I feel like I rely on my hands a lot, especially in tight situations. Like, I end up with that, my legs are stuck, but I'm moving my hands still.
Yep.
And it's a habit. So having a blocker that'll have me reach down to the ice faster, trying to make a save, I found was very helpful.
Yep.
So after using that for the first time, I was like, I got to move this up. Like, I feel way more comfortable with it here. Yep. And then I guess we'll just do dealer's choice on what's next.
We can talk about the chest protectors and then get into some new exciting stuff outside of protective. So for the G5 chest and arm line, we'll have a G5 Pro Plus chest protector, and that's going to have our mechanical arm construction on it as well. And then we'll also have a Pro unit. And the Pro unit is a cut and sew arm, similar to that of like a GT2 Pro. Okay. But with both of those units, they're going to be more streamlined. So by streamlined in the Pro Plus, it would be the new shoulder floater shape that's more contoured to your body, getting that more rounded appearance with the jersey on. But the arm construction themselves is similar to that of the G4, where it has a hypercomp shock shield forearm, hypercomp bicep, and then the hinge mechanism that allows the elbow floater to come forward and give you a substantial protection in the arm. On the G5 Pro unit, the cut and sew arm, we did downsize the elbow floaters a little bit to be even a little further streamlined. Chest and arms are very up for debate in the goalie market right now because of the NHL spec things that are going on, and do goalies who are playing in adult leagues, or do goalies who are playing travel hockey, do they want that? Do they not? There's not really a clear direction, so we have both options available for whoever's, I don't want to give up coverage, so I'm going to stick with the Pro Plus, or I'm interested in trying, a little bit more streamlined unit, maybe because they want it to be a little bit lighter, maybe because the more streamlined version is going to give benefits to mobility. Whatever your reasoning is, that's okay. We just wanted to make both options for goalies as they start to decide as the years develop of what's best for their game. And then we'll have different number of models below that in sizing as well, senior, intermediate, and junior and youth. So.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to touch on again is the customizability.
Yeah.
The chest protector, it's no one has the same length from waistline to shoulder, so it's those pieces that you can remove or add. And then also on the back, all those straps, and then on the inside of the sides, you can open those and you can bring things closer. What I did was I loosened up a lot up top because I wanted to hang lower on my chest a little bit.
Okay.
So it gives me more mobility up top so I can move my shoulders.
Yep.
And then I tightened up everything around the waist because I like a tight fitting around like my rib cage.
Yeah.
I want it to be there. And then while using it, I found that when I was closing up, there wasn't as much getting through as I used to have like a couple years ago. Remember, that used to be one of my killers, that my brother, every time if he wanted to score on me, he would shoot between my arms because he knew I couldn't close it. And so I found that when I was using this the last couple of days, that when I was closing, I was getting at least a piece if I was late to it.
Right.
And when it did hit me, it was going out instead of dropping behind me. And so I found that really helpful. And all the little pieces, tightening up the arm around the elbow specifically.
Yeah.
There's so much to this that you can customize, that I find that off the shelf, if you don't like the feeling immediately, sit there and tinker for like 5 minutes.
There's a lot to explore on our products. And like you mentioned, the back plate is a key source of all that strapping, and on the back behind your neck, and the shoulder floaters are obviously very adjustable. Length extensions are something that Warrior goalies for a long time now have been super appreciative of. Whether you tuck your chest protector and you want it to hang a little bit lower so that it doesn't get caught up in your pants, you'd want to maybe leave those extensions on, or maybe you do have a longer torso and that's why you'd want them on as well. Or if you're a goalie who tucks, you're like, take these off. I want to, I don't want it to interfere with my cup, so I want it a little bit shorter, so it integrates better with my pants. That's an option that you can take off. You can try, for goalies who've never tucked before, that's a good feature to have, because then they can take that piece off, and if they end up not liking that tucking option, they can go back to having their chest protector outside the pant with the length extension back on. So never trying to make things, permanent adjustments. Always something that you can try for practices, or try for a game, and then, go back to what your original setting was, or keep exploring further.
Yeah, even with the front, you can still lift up the floaters a little bit, and then tighten those or loosen those up.
Yeah.
I like every little piece. There's a little bit there, even if you didn't think originally there was. And I did a little bit exploring the other day, and I was like, I didn't even know this was here, and I adjusted it, and I was like, this feels amazing. I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Jason, with all these crazy
No,
adjustments?
Mostly just curious, and maybe goalie is unique enough, but how much does Warrior as a whole take from other sports? Like, obviously, lacrosse has chest protectors, and box lacrosse has, the bigger pads. Is there anything that bleeds over from one to the other, or from any of the same kind of ideas, or maybe mobility or anything like that?
In the goalie category specifically, we don't do too much really with the lacrosse goalie side, mainly because the goalies in lacrosse don't have much equipment. In box they have quite a bit, but in field lacrosse they don't. But I work in Warren, in our headquarters in Warren, Michigan, and I'm there with all the lacrosse designers, developers, and product managers as well. So we're all very aware of what each other are doing, and if someone finds a breakthrough on a foam or a material, or a look of a product or something, we definitely are working together with. More specifically, I'd say the goalie guys work a little bit closer with the hockey player guys, and in stick development and things like that. But we are all under, predominantly one family, and we got a couple of different roofs in the company, Montreal and in Detroit and that. But so. And
then I guess moving on to the stick, honestly, one of the most things I'm excited about.
Yeah. So this is the new M1 Pro Plus stick. This is our second composite line. We'll still have the V series as well. The two sticks are differentiated from a couple of different ways. So the V series stick is what we built off of from the CR line, the CR1, which is a kind of the composite stick that really put us on the map. And then we came out with the V1 Pro Plus, which was essentially a lot lighter version of the CR1 that goalies were really quickly adopting, especially at the NHL level. And so what we found, though, is that we wanted to keep pushing through thresholds in weight and innovation. And goalies are more and more starting to talk about how, stick has shooting properties, much like how players would. How can I shoot with this? Is it like a quicker release? Does it have a lower flex? Does it have a higher flex? So we found with this M series stick that it gave us a new doorway to go through and explore and try new things. So the first thing that we wanted to do was try to see if there were ways that we could reduce the weight of the stick. And we found that through a new paddle construction that you can see from the back and then also on the face being completely flat and then kind of go into more full feeling underneath your hand like a traditional shoulder would feel. But on the back, this new minimus construction design, what it does is it reduces the weight of the stick, but it also drives the kick point of the stick to be a lower kicking stick. So this stick is a lot of fun to shoot with. Elevating the puck is super easy. And that compared to the V stick, which has a traditional paddle on it, that has more of the flex in the shaft where your bottom hand is going to be. So that stick's going to be easier to load up, get a hard pass to your defenseman who's coming back or a winger. This one is designed a little bit more for the goalie who's looking to clear a far blue line or get the puck over another stick and off the glass. But weight reduction is definitely the biggest thing. It's going to be by far, I think, the lightest stick on the market. And we took out a couple of other things from the V series stick, not because there wasn't a purpose, but I think that there's differences from goalie to goalie. Like some goalies will look at a composite stick and say, I want it to make sure it feels good. I don't want it to sting my hand. I want it to have good balance. I want to be able to make just clean, crisp passes. So for that stick, we have the conventional paddle. We have a more flex in the shaft, and then we have Vibex in the shoulder area, which is our vibration reduction gel. On the M stick, this is more for the goalie who says, give me the lightest, give me the quickest release, give me, I don't need the rails on the shaft. I want that off because it's going to reduce the weight. Anything that a goalie might deem as not needed, but maybe wanted but not needed, we took off. And then through the new paddle shape as well, we were able to shave a lot of weight out of the stick and come out with a completely new shooting profile.
Okay. One of the first questions I've been asked is like durability wise, does having that added shape change anything toward the durability, or will it compromise that at all?
No, not at all. This is a stick that we've had in development for close to 2 years now, I would say. So it's been field tested from professional goalies in Europe. It's been field tested with NCAA Division I goalies for months, full season even. So the same durability, the great durability you'd expect from a V1 stick is going to be applied to an M1 stick as well. We're just like on any of these products, it's all about performance and innovation, but making sure that there's durability that can give value to the customer. On our pads and gloves, we have a 6-month warranty, which is for the most part double the industry standard. So anything we do, it's with durability in mind. It's with product value in mind as well, and that's no different with sticks. So
that's something me and Jason were actually discussing earlier. Was he asked, what's when a goalie gets a set of pads, what's the durability aspect of it? How do you know when to get the next level, or to retire your old set and to get a new one? And I was trying to explain that the more companies learn about durability, the longer they're going to last. So with this new kind of set, and then especially like G4s, GT2, like I feel like the shelf life is as long as you make it, really.
Yeah, it truly is. And I think it's more of a story now of how long you want the pad to perform the same way that you did the day you got it. What I mean by that is mainly through stiffness and weight, and trying to find that balance of making a product lighter, but not sacrificing stability of the pad or stiffness of the pad that elite level goalies want a certain type of performance out of it. And we use for the most part a lot of our European pros because they're so awesome to talk to. A lot of these goalies don't get multiple sets a year, so they're pushing the limits of this gear at the highest levels. We're talking 7 days a week, facing 85, 90 mile an hour shots, bus trips the whole 9 yards. So using those guys as our resources, and a lot of times as our testers too, is a great luxury that we have. That definitely all that feedback we get from those guys is what eventually gets applied to a retail product. So, I think for goalies, it's more of a longevity thing, though. Do you skate that often? Is your season, 60 games, or are you playing every other Sunday? What type of performance are you looking for, and how long do you expect to get out of your pads?
Yeah,
so
that was one of the things I touched on, was evaluate your playing.
Yeah.
And then that's going to make your decisions.
Right.
Yep. So I just wanted to add a question real quick. Having Shannon Zabados in Warrior gear for something like the Olympics for women's hockey, was that something important for you guys to kind of touch on? I know that did she approach you guys for the gear? Because I think I've heard a little bit of that story on how she got into Warrior originally, and I just wanted to hear about that, since she's kind of the front runner for women's Warrior hockey.
Yeah. We're lucky to have quite a few female goalies. Miri Reisinen is also one. Yeah. But Shannon is someone I met at a goalie camp a couple of years ago.
Me too.
And and she checked out the Warrior gear that day when I was there, and she really liked the glove, and said, if you're ever interested, just let me know. And I think about a year went by. She was looking to actually switch all of her equipment over, and reached out and asked if we'd be interested in working with her, and we said absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just been phenomenal. Shannon is one of the best people in hockey that I know.
Agree.
Not only for her position, but the game itself, and for women's hockey. She's done far and beyond what most people have done for the sport. So we're very fortunate for her as an ambassador of not only the sport, but women's hockey and Warrior goalie as well. So she loves the product too. It's fun to talk to her about it. She's just like, I need to get the new stuff because I love what you guys got now, and I can't wait to try the new stuff.
Yeah.
Or the pants. She's like, what? The first time she got the pants, she's like, what did you guys do to these pants? And I'm like, what do you mean? This is our ritual pant. And she's like, I put these on, and it felt like it's a pant that I've been wearing for 3 years in the first skate. And it's exciting to hear that from, I hear it from a lot of people with my job and being on chat rooms and stuff, but to hear it from elite athletes, a global athlete like that is impressive too.
Yeah, I hope we can get her on here at some point. Yeah, that'd be good. And then I guess our final piece, something that's been kind of hiding in the shadows for a long time, the helmet.
Yeah, the Warrior goalie mask. This has been a huge project, a huge undertaking from the goalie team. So I definitely have to give credit to those guys first and foremost. A lot of work and a lot of time went into this. It's been upwards of 3 years now by the time this product is available in stores since we started the project. It's something that we started out. I'll tell you a little bit of the kind of timeline of things. Is we are obviously goalies ourselves. We used a number of different masks in the market, and we started to recognize and feel like this is an opportunity for us to make a product that primarily through fit, that we could introduce something new to goalies, give them a new option, a better option than what they've had for the past 2-3 decades even. A lot of the fits in goalie masks haven't changed over the recent years, and a lot of masks have the similar fits to one another. So we wanted to come out and try something and analyze fit and create a new fit for the market. We did that by going out and 3D scanning a lot of the fits that exist and cross-referencing that with anecdotal feedback that we get, where goalies say, this helmet fits me better in the chin, this helmet fits better here, this one has better visibility, and then cross-referencing that with actual 3D scans allowed us to measure that, taking that feedback that goalies give about feel or fit, or the chin's to this, or the mass doesn't feel good at this point. We could actually physically measure that and sort of create a new fit that encompasses all the good elements and tries to resolve a lot of the current struggles that exist in the fit of a goalie mask today. So
yeah,
Fit is first and foremost the most exciting thing about the mask. It's very impressive when people try it on. It's like, how did you get a mold in my face? Is like the question that I got asked a lot when I was showing this to retailers and to pros overseas. So that was exciting. And I think the other thing that goalies will benefit from once they switch into a Warrior mask is the chin mobility. We looked at things a little bit differently than the other major mask makers out there right now. So I think once you throw a chest protector on, you get your jersey on, the chin mobility is only going to benefit you, especially with post-play, RVH, looking over your shoulder, and also tracking pucks into your body and into your hands is a super focused thing in goaltending right now. So fit and chin mobility are great. And last but not least, another nice benefit to all the Warrior goalie masks, whether you're buying a pro mask or a senior mask or a junior or youth, they're all going to come in a padded bag. And they're all going to come with a free dangler that's included with it. So getting a little bit of extra value from the Warrior mask, and then also a better fit and a new sort of theory on chin mobility. So
yeah, I think those are great additions.
Yeah.
What were for a project that's that big and takes that long, what were some of the main hurdles you guys had to overcome, or something that you maybe didn't expect as you were kind of getting later into the project?
I would
If
say,
anything,
there are definitely challenges with doing it. I would say with fit was the biggest hurdle. Is you start by talking to goalies, just and saying, what do you like, what don't you like, why, and sometimes you get feedback that's contradictory. So it's trying to decipher what people are saying with what's actually physically true. Not saying people are liars, but they just may not have the best way to articulate what they're trying to explain. So that's where we took that feedback and took it and applied it to 3D scanning, where there's actual physical measurements, and try to get a straight line truth to the story of what is the most optimum fit and why, and what is it about this fit that makes it feel that way, or how can we improve upon it as well. So I would say the whole fit study in the early days was probably one of the more challenging parts, but collectively as a group we took it head on and spent a lot of detailed time on it.
Was there ever a time you guys maybe didn't think it was going to come out exactly how you wanted?
I would say no. It's once you get to a certain stage, then and you get into the sampling process with it, we were able to start using the product ourselves, and we're just like every other goalie now who's kind of checked it out before it's launched is really impressed. Wow, this is on my head. There's so much work that's gone into this. There's sort of this surreal feeling in that sense, but also the benefit. And we're all different ages at Warrior Goalie, and we're also different sizes. And so all of us trying it on and being like, wow, this fits me too. And different size goalies were like, okay, we're definitely onto something here. And then getting to use it in games was really cool too, as a work in progress project. And start to call the guys, hey, I got hit in the head last night, I'm all good, things are fine. I love the mask, I feel like the sight lines are great, or we changed the cage a little bit on this, and I feel like I can see better. It's a evolution, and like I said, upwards of almost 3 years now that we've been doing this. So this has been a huge secret to a lot of people, and a huge surprise probably now since we put some videos out on it. But very, very excited. I think we're definitely onto something new with a new fit.
Awesome. Yeah, and then that kind of brings me to the closing with some fan questions that we put up on our Instagram.
Sure.
Because this is one of the questions that actually just occurred to me and I didn't realize I had written down, was I'm going to apologize in advance if I mispronounce some of these names, but from Mikey Sadis. What is the most exciting feature, in your opinion, about any of these lines? What's your most exciting piece?
Difficult to say because there's so many exciting things.
Yeah.
I love the G5 pad. I really do. I've been a G number guy. Personally, I use both, but I'm more of in a big game for me, I would definitely be in a G4 or a G5. So I'm super excited about the G5 pad and the Coverage Plus that we've applied to the pads and gloves as well. It's super hard to ignore the lightness of this new M1 stick.
Yeah.
It's kind of awkward even to use your first skate. But I will say, like, once you go back to a different weight, a heavier stick, it's like, okay, give me that M1 stick back right now. Like, I miss it already.
Yeah.
So that's been a fun project that we've been working on. And then the mask is
a long time coming. So
yeah, it's a long time.
Yeah,
it's been so long. So I would say what I'm most excited for in 2020 is the mask. Yeah, I think that's going to impress a lot of people. People will be surprised and they'll be happy with how it fits and feels on their head. And they get a lot of benefits with it too, with the bag and the dangler, extra sweatband. I forgot to mention that.
Yep.
So, I'm excited to see goalies adopt the helmet and get it on the ice.
Yeah, I think my answer would be just about the same. There's so much here that it's hard not to be excited about some of these pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, from being someone who hasn't really used Warrior all that much in the past, I'm very excited to explore the G5 even more.
Yeah.
Especially the pads. And then the glove it's the first Warrior glove that I felt like really comfortable in, just from my personal experience. Everyone's different, but I know some other people are like, oh, I love the Warrior gloves, and I was like there's something for me, I feel like something kind of off.
Yeah.
But the new ones that's something I've been very excited about.
Yeah.
Yep. And then a collective question that we got was, what sets the G5 apart from the other companies?
I would say the weight is something that we put a huge precedence on years ago. We've had the lightest pad on the market for a number of years now. And we've just continued to create things about the product that make it more durable, more long-lasting, and have more feature benefits to actually, as our tagline is, elevate your game. And I think if it doesn't bring a performance element to it, it's not going to be there. So anything you see, any strap, any buckle, any option, it's all for making sure that the product performs not only the way that you want it to, but in a way that's going to benefit you. So that's, I think, what separates us specifically with the G5 pad is that we're innovative with it, but there's always a purpose behind the innovation. It's not a smoke and mirrors thing.
Yep. And then also another collective question is, what's your biggest change from the G4 to the G5 line?
Collectively with the pads and the gloves would be Coverage Plus for sure. And just analyzing, our blocker palms haven't changed in a number of years. So changing the blocker palm and changing the board shape as well, completely kind of redesigning that piece. And then the elements to the trapper of bringing the face forward so that you don't have to cock your wrist in a way to make it square to a puck, and then with the pads as well, and just thinking very logically about how the piece of your equipment can be used to benefit you and make you, give you more coverage in the net. So I would say that that's probably the best thing coming.
Okay. And then from Haas 0423, with the more surface area, or from Coverage Plus, is that going to add any weight to the pad, glove, and blocker?
No. The guys at Warrior have a saying that innovation is really just an exercise in problem solving, and so you don't necessarily wake up and think like, oh, I'm going to innovate this new idea. It's just we have a benefit in mind, we have a performance element in mind, and then the process of getting to that in the equipment is the innovation in itself. So we didn't just come out with a G5 pad or blocker or trapper and just make it thicker, therefore making it heavier. Other parts of the pad were, adjusted and maneuvered, or the blocker was maneuvered as well to keep a consistently ultra lightweight product. So, we're not going to do something at the expense of losing another benefit either. So it's how do you gain a benefit and keep the benefits that you already have? It's not, well, we think this one's more important, so goodbye old benefit.
Yeah.
So the weight is still ultra light for current Warrior goalies out there. It's going to feel just like home.
Mm-hmm. And then one more fan question that we got was from Finn Plume. Do the non-pro pads feature the Coverage Plus?
Yes. So the Pro
Cover Edge. Yeah.
Yeah. Coverage Plus will be on the Pro leg pad, trapper, and blocker, as well as the Senior Plus and the Intermediate. So
awesome. Yeah. I feel like it's a great feature for everyone to have.
Yeah.
And then I just had one question that I was wondering. Have you been seeing any misconceptions about G5 that you wanted to straighten out, or any of the other lines?
No, it's been exciting to see the Coverage Plus come out. We did some videos on our Instagram, and you guys shared them as well. The GIFs of just the concept of it, and trying to get goalies to start thinking about their product and the product that they wear in a different way. And applying that logic of depth in the net back to the equipment that you're using. So that was a great opportunity for us to see like what goalies are thinking. Are they thinking strictly with tape measures when it comes to pads and gloves? Are they open to this concept and seeing how from a G4 to G5 Coverage Plus benefits you, and from a maybe even a competition standpoint, switching to a G5 would benefit you by gaining you more coverage if, the pads you're wearing have a reduced tight outer roll. So it's more for us kickstarting that conversation and seeing where goalies are at with it. There's been some misconceptions. Goalies might say for the trapper, well, if I just hold my wrist this way, then I will, get Coverage Plus. I don't need it. Well, you can move your wrist that way, but having the Coverage Plus element still on the glove is only going to further enhance that and present the glove even further out towards the puck and cover even more net. So you don't have to bend your wrist, but if you want to, you still can. It's just going to further help it still. If you want to bring your blocker hand out further, it's not eliminating the need for Coverage Plus. It's just making Coverage Plus that much more effective. So just thinking critically and analytically, I think about Coverage Plus has been something that I've seen goalies come around to and start to understand a little bit more.
Yeah. So thank you for coming on to the Outer Roll podcast, Kirk Allen.
Thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure.